pretty much get everything. You don't really need to see me. Everybody knows me.
The network name is Misty Town Hall Wi-Fi.
Yep.
Yeah. Need the password. Okay, yeah. You can get started.
Okay.
I'll give you the password. Hold on.
I'd like to call the August 4th, 2021 Conservation Advisory Council for the Town of Niskuna to order. And I think the best thing for us to do is to just go around the room and announce our name for attendance. So,
Ellen DeViro,
Dark Strayer,
Ashok Subramanian.
Nikki Vishokali. And Laura Robertson.
Rhina Sarkar.
Clark Henry.
Okay, great. Okay.
Oh, and Chelsea Ratner's here.
Oh, hi, Chelsea.
Sorry, my AirPods are not working, and I wanted to come in today, but I had my eyes dilated, so I'm staying put tonight.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
Yeah. How's everyone doing?
We're doing well. How about you?
Very well. Very well. Yeah. So carry on. I'm here.
Okay, thanks. We have some minutes, and the minutes are from July 1st, 2020. I have other people look at it.
I looked at them.
Okay.
It's like deja vu.
Yeah, I had trouble downloading the packet.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that needed to be. I didn't see any errors, like grammatical errors or anything like that, but I didn't know if anybody else did if they wanted.
Hey, Shook, did you see anything?
No.
Okay. Then what I would do is I would make a motion that we adopt the minutes as written. Do we have a second?
Oh, I'll second that, sorry.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, August 5th, 2020.
So again, you know what, I don't think I read the last page,
Mm-hmm.
but everything else that I read looked like there weren't any grammatical errors. Did anybody else find any? I didn't do.
You know who did them? My intern Shivani.
Okay.
She's like a college student, so she's really good.
So she, I didn't see anything, and it was good to review the things that we had talked about and how long it takes to get stuff done. But yeah. But anyways, yeah.
Okay, so do you feel comfortable voting even though you didn't look at the last page?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't know how everybody else feels, but I can quickly read it.
I didn't get a chance to read this.
So my suggestion is that if you guys are mildly comfortable taking action, you should, because we have like 5 sets of minutes for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So if somebody wants to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You don't have to.
Can I abstain?
You can abstain.
I didn't get it for you, so I can.
Okay.
That's fine, as long as somebody has their eyes on it.
Do I hear any nays? Hearing none, the motion carries.
So maybe we could, just as because we have so many, maybe we should send them out a little earlier.
Yeah, we can do that. Because we had 5 that were outstanding in 2020, and
Yes.
she just finished the last 3, and now she's working on July's, and then theoretically we'll also have tonight's meeting, so that's actually,
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah,
then
that's
we'll
5.
catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, if you send those 3, because
so like I said, the ones that were done already.
yeah, that would be awesome.
I could do that.
Because then we can just read them as they.
So Mickey, for you, the next part of the meeting is privilege of the floor. And what that means is if any residents come or on Skype, they want to talk to the board, now would be the time of the meeting where they would talk, and could have a conversation with us. And it could be either about a project that we're looking at currently. It could be about something completely unrelated. It could be about, some concern they have in the town. So
Something new.
something new, something we're not aware of. For example, we had privilege before one meeting, and someone brought to our attention that a trail, one of the John Brown trails, had a critical environmental warning sign on it because there was potentially eagles nesting there. We didn't know that would be the type of range of questions we could get.
So this meeting is open to any resident?
Yep, it's open to any resident that wants to come.
If you have people with environmental concerns, you should ask them to come and speak up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I came one day. That's how I found out it existed.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And that's why Ashok's here.
Okay, can you hear everybody still? You can, Raina? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Okay, the next part is the environmental assessment form referrals, or EAF. And this is what we talked about earlier. This would be the time when we'd actually discuss a referral from either the town or the developer. And we do have some stuff that we will have to take action at some point there, but we would discuss it, and then we would go through a list of questions that we want to ask, like, does it impact the community? Are there sufficient utilities? And I'm paraphrasing with that. We'd go through it, and then we'd actually either take a vote on it at that time, or we have postponed it, depending on how the board feels. So that would be that part.
Okay.
And then the next part, discussion items. This would be the part of the agenda where we would first see a project. The developer may come present something, in which case we would have opportunity to ask questions, learn about the project, and if we felt something was missing or we wanted to see something more like a traffic study or an elevation or something, then what we would do is we would ask the developer to come back or give Laura, the planning department, a illustration of maybe what they were building or something additional. So we have two items here, and the first one is 2837 Aqueduct Road. And basically, it's a modification for a recreation center building in the River Ledge development, which is currently being built. And the application for a site review is in the packet right there. And Laura, if you want to sort of give us an overview of what the developer would like to do.
Yeah.
Would be great.
Because I was telling Mickey, we still haven't really started inviting the developers back to in person yet. But so these buildings here were all approved, and they're all per site plan, town board, planning board, and went through us. So buildings 1 through 17, 18, 18, yeah, 18, all the way over there, right there. Yeah, and the clubhouse. Was it 16? Oh, 16. Okay. Buildings 1 through 16 are all approved. But do you see that little thing that I circled? That's, can you guys see it up here? That's a little extra building that they've come to the planning board to request. And so I thought it would be useful to bring it to the CAC to take a look at it, because it is a site plan amendment. I don't know that it would trigger a full EAF review, but you guys did review this project. I think it goes all the way back to 2017 now.
Yeah.
But it is a change, and I know there's some things in the agenda statement in your packet. It shows the inside of the building. So like the clubhouse building is meant for like mail and like the office, the rental office and stuff like that. But this building is the recreational building, and if you look in your packet, like half of it is like exercise equipment, and then the other half of it is like cornhole and games and stuff like that.
Yeah, like a golf simulator.
A golf simulator.
We have a dog washing station.
A dog washing station's all in there.
And restrooms
And restrooms.
But yeah.
And then you can see they've got a lot of windows, and they want it to face out across the pond. On the one hand, like that area is pretty disturbed anyway, but on the other hand, like what I noticed and what we've talked about at the planning board is the building's pretty close to the lot line, which is pretty close to the bike path. So they put in this landscaping plan, which is why I printed out the landscaping plan for you. It shows like 17 Norway spruce in a line to try and block this building from the bike path. And they added some more trees on the entrances and stuff like that too. I don't know if that's sufficient or not, or how you guys feel about adding another building. There are buildings pretty close to the bike path as part of this approval. And so I guess just like thoughts on it, or if we'd want to see something, if, or to go forward environmentally. I'm mostly thinking landscape / proximity to the bike path.
So I have a couple questions looking at this. Is there, and I think I know the answer, but they're fine on green space requirements, even with this building addition. They're not changing any thresholds that we would be concerned about.
Yeah, they were way over. Yeah.
I agree with you. I've been down through. Actually, I walked down this road
Recently.
Recently, like 2 weeks ago, and it is pretty disturbed there. How is the elevation on that corner? Is the bike path at some point seems like it's down low and the ground's higher around the side, but I think that's more in the middle of this development as opposed to the end.
Yeah, so this is right where the bike path starts to rise. So like you see, this is where the stones start, and that's where the retaining wall is. Mm-hmm. So the bike path is rising, and right here, the bike path is at grade with the road.
Okay.
So it starts to rise to become on grade. It's definitely not one of the lower sections of the bike path.
We have some pictures also that we could send around to people.
Yeah.
Taken basically showing the bike path, and then it is downgrade a little bit to where the building would be.
Yeah.
So just from this, so they have like 5 parking spaces. Do they have to have a certain number of parking? They can just do whatever it can. How did we come up with 5?
Well, because it's an apartment complex. Like their recreational buildings don't really have a formula, and they're considering that most people would walk. They have
It's far from building 7 and 8.
Yeah. It's true.
I mean, this is across a pond. Like,
although it has a path on either side.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could ride your bike.
You could ride your
Yes.
bike.
Yes.
I mean, it probably takes like, I don't know, 10 minutes to walk from one side to the other.
No, you're absolutely right, Ellen. I mean, it is
In
a
the
pretty
middle.
long. It's a pretty. Long
I'm just
walk.
thinking in the middle of the winter, if someone is going to actually use this space, they're going to drive.
Yeah.
Increase the traffic.
Well, I mean, they're just going to be driving across their own things. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
So and yes, I hear you. That may not be enough. Although, do we actually want to see more parking there?
no, I don't want to see more parking. I don't want to see more parking. I'm fearful that because of the late planning of it, that it is, and maybe the other buildings have been built, but I think that it's not a great location for what they're trying, for usage. But if people are dedicated, they'll get there.
Well, the reason they put it there is because it's the highest. This is probably like one of the highest spots on the whole site. And it has all those windows.
I saw it, yeah.
And so like the whole point is that you're up high, looking out, and you have that view of the river.
Okay.
But you do have to walk higher to get to that view.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is up.
Okay.
I have a question. What kind of apartments are they? Are they for like single people or senior people or like what kind of?
They're not restricted. They're pretty high end. So like when you rent the apartment, you get a garage and I think mostly 2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms.
Yeah. A pretty high end.
Okay.
But anybody can rent them.
But they are apartments as opposed to condos.
Correct. They look like condos because you have your own garage.
Yeah.
But they do have shared entranceways and they are apartments.
Is that what distinguishes them? Shared entranceways? Is that what distinguishes an apartment from a condominium?
No, a condominium is
You
owned.
own.
You own, sorry.
Condominium is basically an apartment that you own.
You own.
Yeah, okay, yeah, duh. Okay, yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
one other thing, the applicant has appeared at the last 2 planning board meetings, and he gives a pretty good synopsis of why they would like to add this building. It's based on similar properties they have. I think one is on Green Island. And by polling their residents of these other properties, they determined that one of the desires is to have a building like this. So that's what's kind of causing them to try to add this, because it's obviously a considerable expense that they're adding to the project. So
I absolutely agree. I wouldn't, I mean, it's what, I'm surprised it wasn't in there to begin with.
yeah,
It's really, to be quite honest with you, I'm surprised it wasn't where the clubhouse is. That's really where it should be, in all honesty, right? People go a long way for their mail, but, you know, they want the convenience of working out. So, but it's lovely. You know, I didn't have any problem with any of the things as long as it meets all the specs, like the shrubbery. It all seems like a lot of green to me. So.
What about the, you know, there's a pond, you know, every time there's water, there's life. But and during construction and afterwards, like what is going to be the impact of the flora and fauna, the farm per se?
Right. So there isn't much flora and fauna there right now.
Okay.
Although theoretically, if you didn't put the building, you know, they would either landscape it with grass and put a couple more trees there, you know, but like it did have to get disturbed in order to do the work that they did on the road and the bike path. So there really isn't a whole lot there to nothing, but a lot of gravel.
It's pretty beat up.
But I mean, I think the trade-off is if the building wasn't there, you would put like a picnic pavilion or something. But
So what is on the west side of this building? This side. What
that's
is-
just private land that hasn't been developed yet. It's just forest.
Okay, forest. Okay.
Well, there's a really big power line, and then it's forest.
Okay.
These things are power lines right there.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for teaching me.
So is there any, like, I don't have any I don't have any foresight into like why it would be
A bad thing.
I mean, aside from, you know, its poor location, you know, if they're gonna put pesticides already, you know, on the lawn. I mean, I knew we were gonna come back and talk about this
Yeah.
later on when they were getting ready to do this, but I don't know if we had, but we really wanted them. I remember talking about this
We
and,
had that conversation.
yeah, and we're, you know, asking about, you know, like, you know, solar stuff and, you know, all this other,
They might still do that though. When we were talking solar, it was this parcel.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because this was the long flat one where we
Yes.
were saying you could do a green roof or put solar panels on that.
Okay.
At one time, they were looking to develop this front area.
They still are.
There's some-
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage them still to do whatever we possibly can in the back to make it more, you know, energy efficient and less runoff of whatever, you know.
Yeah, actually, the way this building slopes, the roof would be the right pitch for solar, because it's sort of a southern exposure.
Always ask for that.
Although the trees that they plant there may.
Oh, the Norway spruce?
Yeah.
Because they're gonna be on the south. Yeah.
The one thing I think we do need to be careful with is the impact to the bike path, and like white probably isn't the color that I would choose for
Oh,
that
that's
building.
a thought. Yeah.
Considering we do have a lot of white. It was kind of interesting when we were there, the green actually looks really nice.
The Tyvek green.
The
Yeah.
Tyvek, but you know, the white I think stands out quite a
Okay, so we could ask for like a more earth tone greenish building.
bit. Green or
And during construction, you know, what is going to be the impact on the bike path? It's a bike path that I and a bunch of people have to ride, and
They
it
won't
was
impact
closed
the bike path.
for a bunch of time.
It was, but
Yeah.
that's because they were changing the grade of the bike path. So the bike path's grade got changed immensely. on this crossing, right? There's a hill there where there never was one. It used to be perfectly flat.
Yeah, and they also, but they also put in all there's a water plant. There's a water treatment plant on this. That's from us to Schenectady, and that's where they dug it all up and they put down the new piping.
Yeah.
That's what started
But the construction of this building would not shut the bike path down. And it wouldn't hurt it in any way. It's pretty close to the bike path, but they wouldn't touch the bike path with this construction.
So
it's off of their property.
So do they have concern of anybody coming from the bike path into the?
The planning board talked to them about that. Hers was concerned of bike path people coming into it. Maybe the screening helps with that a little too. I'm sure it'll have like a door lock that you have to like swipe your thing to get into.
Right.
Yeah, Laura, I can't remember if you mentioned it, but the current status of this with the planning board, and again, the applicant has come twice and he'll be there again Monday night, the 9th, is the other buildings are 22 feet from the right of way. So the planning board asked him to look at moving that building back so that it's 22 feet and it's in line with the other buildings. They would like to position it so that it looks out over the pond, kind of directly at the river. Making it 22 feet would require them to rotate it a little bit so it looks at the Rexford Bridge a little bit more. So we expect to see one version like that. The other thought was to put a berm between the bike path and the building to provide more of a screened barrier. So I would think we're probably going to see those two concepts Monday night.
Yeah, because the berm or the fact that the bike path is lower in the middle part of this property really hides the buildings. You can't really see them unless you're really looking for them. So that might be a good option.
Laura, what about the height? Do we have any ability to make a request regarding height? Or as long as it complies with the code, can we not?
Because they're asking for it over and above, you could certainly say what your opinion was on the height. It's not an outright right for them to build this building.
Because I think Dart's comment about the impact from the bike path is a really good one. Having driven the site with Ken, and we have pictures of what it looks like looking down the bike path in both directions. And if that building is really close to the bike path, it's going to be a wall right there. Now, maybe those other buildings are too. We should check that out again. But right now, you can look right out over the pond, almost from the bike path. You can look right out over the pond down towards the river. So.
I mean, looking at this site, they do have room. They could easily rotate this building around the pond a bit.
Doesn't make it as nice. I bet it. I mean, I don't know. If you continue riding, I mean, when you ride this bike path all the way to Schenectady, you go past the wastewater treatment plant. You're going past the wastewater treatment plant that they didn't put up any nice shrubs around. You're going past people's homes. Sometimes dogs run out at you. I mean, so.
But I have to say that this part of the bike path,
it's very nice.
The fields down behind GE, that's all wooded.
Yes.
And then you get here, and I agree. You go through some really interesting areas, but it is.
You can tell, you can see how it changes, but and it would be lovely to keep this. And I suspect that that's what the whole idea of the trees is. I don't know. I mean, the pond is a pond, but it'd be really nice if they actually put something in there to aerate the pond.
They are going to put a fountain in.
To put a fountain in there to keep it aerated so that it helps with that, and then that would be something to look at.
Yeah, and maybe I'm thinking about they have all the canal blocks on the opposite side, so it's not like it's all natural to begin with.
Yeah,
you do have the road there, so maybe.
I'm not going to split hairs on this one. I am all for solar. I want more solar. I want more green. I want no pesticides. I want nicer trees. I want like that kind of stuff. But where they place it or how the angle is, I'll let the planning board.
Well, if they put solar on the roof, without, I don't know what the pitch of this roof is, so.
Those are the things that stand out to me, and, but where it's angled is not, I'm not gonna, yeah.
Yeah, so if we can just get it so it minimizes the impact. of
Yeah,
the-
so we support a berm, maybe a little bit more screening.
Yeah,
Ask about solar, ask about the pesticides, make the
Yep.
color of the building green. We'll get what the height is just so we know it, right? Clara can see.
I bet you it's like 15 feet or
Uh,
20 feet.
Yeah, and then,
You see if it's in.
uh,
You can see
I
it.
never see it.
yeah, maybe they could even use some more aqueduct stones to screen it, I don't know. Instead of a berm.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of them up there.
So here,
What's gonna happen to all those aqueduct blocks that they use?
We're gonna stack them again. We really wanted to avoid that, but there are just so many of them. They're gonna stack them back down by the Erie Canal as neatly as they can in one pile instead of all strung
So
out.
the town could use them.
If we needed to in other places, yep.
And you and I talked about potentially bringing those blocks together. Have we talked to them about that?
I still have not talked to him. We've been trading phone calls about it.
Okay.
But, yeah, I do want him to bring those
'Cause-
blocks together. I left him a voicemail telling him to do that.
Because we could do that because if they want to put this in. we
Yeah,
could-
yeah. That's the
So-
width. You gotta go to the other one for the height. Right there. That one for the height. Okay,
it doesn't. But it looks to me like it even slopes, so they don't look any bigger than, yeah, I would just ask. I can't do.
okay, so we'll ask. He doesn't have height dimensions on the drawing that we see, Clark. Okay,
We'll ask for that.
yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at, if you look at the chairs and stuff that's in there, it might be to scale it. So you think like some of this equipment is probably like 7 feet high.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that takes it up to the top of the
Yeah.
back window, so I'm adding another 3 or 4 feet on there, so that's like 15. Or that's like 10, and then
Yeah.
maybe the front, it's like 15 or 20.
Maybe what they could do is they could take all that workout equipment and like and they could use that to
Power something.
power something.
Human power.
Human power. They do that in gyms in colleges.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah, some of those workout rooms are pretty big in some of the bigger
Yeah.
schools.
University of Colorado, they have this huge, massive workout room, and then it's all hooked up and it powers the whole building.
The workout room powers the whole building.
Yeah, because how, all the kids riding on the bicycles or whatever it is that they do. So anyways, yeah.
It's so cool.
Okay, so do we have any further discussion on this project at all? Or? Bishop?
The pesticide free, like what,
I wrote that down.
what Ellen was
Yeah.
talking about. Now is the time to,
Mhm.
to really bring those to the front. So I would,
So does that get mentioned like at the planning board, Okay, all right. When can we start like demanding it?
I don't think we never demanded it, like we did request.
Well, if we got it into code, then it would be required. The CAC is only ever a recommendation, so we'd have to get the planning board to start
Well, I
demanding it.
thought that Schenectady County would have.
That's what I was just wondering.
Isn't there a
Oh,
Schenectady County
you're
component?
right. Yeah, we might not be able to do that.
Okay.
I think it's mostly education and outreach and constantly harassing the developers about it,
Okay.
which I'm fine doing.
But let's, like I don't want to say harass, but bring it up as often as we
As we can,
that
yeah.
This is a
The
town-wide
solar and the,
initiative.
yes, yep,
We are heavily promoting it. High school students are involved,
right.
and that
Yeah.
the harm to future generations is immense. And
I think we have 7 years, people, that we need to move. We got 7.
Yes,
No pressure, no pressure.
because that was
TikTok.
our last recommendation for Eastern, I think,
Mm-hmm.
was no pesticides in solar. And he really objected to the solar, but he did agree to do an EV station. So,
Okay.
which would be like the first EV station we have in a multi-family apartment complex, which is really important because those people are underserved because they can't go home and plug their cars in.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay,
so
so,
it is a good thing.
And what did he say about the pesticides?
I know we talked about it. Did he say anything when he said?
I don't think he was opposed to it.
Yeah.
I think the greenscape has been floating around so much of that project that it needs to settle down a little bit first.
He said yes to everything we sent on that one except for the solar. And then he traded the solar for an EV parking space, which we felt like was.
Because at one time there was talk of making it more mulch so there would be less grass as an approach, but now there's more grass in the design, so we can bring that up again.
I actually think that once people realize they can have decent lawns without pesticiding it, that it'll become easier to enforce
It's a win.
or to suggest.
Look at this pretty blue grass that grows in my lawn.
You don't need golf course lawns everywhere, but we're good in between spots.
Okay.
All right, good. Okay, discussion item number 2 is the Historic Preservation Code, and that has come back and forth to our committee several times. And I know there's been a lot of suggestions to make modifications to it.
Yeah, so the last time we looked at it, I thought we were like generally okay with it, but we did want to see, one of Dart's points was that we did want to see a strengthening of the demolition because all it was doing was giving a 30-day waiting period to the developer. So Dart talked to Dr. Brennan about it, and he then put in a 90-day waiting period with an additional 60 days extension or something like that.
Yeah,
It's written in there.
Yeah.
And hopefully that would make it even harder for somebody to demolish the historic structure if it was deemed historic. Like most of them would be not deemed historic, right? Because well, I think he may have changed the way it's written. The other thing that came up with the planning board was that we were going with the 50 years because New York State says anything older than 50 years is historic. So that's the way that code's written. But the planning board was like, in 10 years from now, homes that were built in the 80s aren't going to be considered historic.
Well, you know what? You can't say that.
That's what I said, but I think I got overruled on that. Don't you think, Clark? They wanted to pick a date and say like anything prior to like 1945 or something like that would be deemed
See,
historic.
the problem with doing that is that, for example, are you sure that all the Schaefer houses were built prior to 45? And I don't think that's necessarily true. And when you codify it like that, what it does is it makes it very difficult for the town to take action if there's an oversight. See, I talked to Dennis about this, and this code came from, the demolition part came from Clifton Park. And what they do is they have 2 sections, and so does Bedford as well, where if something's on the historic list, it is treated very differently than if it's 49 years old. Okay, and in fact, Bedford has a tier 1 and a tier 2 ordinance now. The one I gave to Clark was the older ordinance, which I thought was more appropriate. And if it's like tier 1, it's almost impossible to do anything to it. I mean, changing out windows requires review.
Yeah.
Tier 2 is more restrictive, but there's a lot more flexibility in that. And then 49 years is just that, hey, before someone comes in to demolish a building, someone looks at it and says it's okay. So I wouldn't imagine like in 5 or 10 years from now, when 1980s buildings or 1970 buildings come up, we're probably not going to say that
The historic.
we're going to send it to the historic committee, or the historic committee will look at it and say, yes, fine. In other words, I don't think that's gonna be a burden, but I do worry about them saying a specific date.
Yeah, just to make sure that nothing's missed.
Right, because isn't that there, I mean, the house on Hedgewood, right, that is, the,
Well, they didn't, I don't think they honed in on a date, right? But
before you know it, my house is gonna be, is probably historic, and you know why? Because my house has corner moldings in all my closets.
oh, you live in Old Miss Community?
Yeah, like,
Oh, you live in Orchard Park?
I live, Rosendale.
Oh, Rosendale.
Yeah, old Rosendale. Old Hawthorne.
I think that, I think, as I remember it, Laura, they talked about a date, but then I think they backed off on that.
Oh, really? Okay, so I'll have to
Yeah.
follow up with you guys on that. But that was a really long discussion. And then, so you guys are in favor of the 50 years.
49, 50 years. Something.
Well, the state
I'll
says
do-
50 years.
I'll defer to,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
to
fine.
Dart and to
And then,
President.
the other thing they said is that if we were going to put that really long waiting period in, the developer may just be like, and just wait. And so Bedford has an ability for the town board to deny a demolition permit if it goes through all these steps. And so during the discussion, Paul Briggs felt like if the planning board and the town board really wanted to have that option in the future, they should put it in the code now. So it didn't, so that it didn't look like it was reactionary when you were putting it in. So like you realized that there's going to be a problem, and then you amended your code quickly and said the town board has the ability to deny. He said you should put it in now so that you can show if you're ever sued that you had the foresight to know that the reason that that was there is because you wanted to have the ability to deny a permit in the end.
I agree.
Yeah, and the Bedford, what's interesting about the Bedford, and there's other, Rye has it, a lot of communities have it, I just happened to pick that one because I thought it was best. But the thing that I think that is really good about that is that the board, and it's not the town board that initially flags it, would be the historic board, but they have to give specific reasons why it can't be demolished. And I thought that that's actually a really important thing from the aspect of that it's not going to be applied arbitrarily,
Yeah, it
but
can't.
also provides the town with the reasons why, if the town so chooses to protect the building.
Yeah.
So, and they have like all these scenarios that if you bring in an outside person, the developer could pay for it. I don't know if we need to go that far.
Right.
I mean, there's more involved in that. But the town board actually has the final
Then,
say. In other words, you as a developer may want to take down the house, but if you disagree with the historic board, then what happens is you go to the town board and ask for relief. And there's a lot of caveats too. If the building's falling down or if there's a health and safety issue, then obviously that takes precedence.
so yeah, so I guess then the board would be supportive of the 50 years for historic just to be consistent with the state, realizing that most things that are only 50 or 60 years old are probably not historic. But
You see, this is where it gets kind of weird, and you see this in a lot of statements, and it's not in the town one, but it is in the Bedford one. It's buildings for their architectural or aesthetic value representative of a style or period of architecture of buildings in which significant town identity is an integral part. So it's not just age. I've seen other things too where it says material use and stuff.
I mean, that's very specific to like the Schaefer homes that we have.
Yeah.
Yes.
right.
Yeah. That's a good description of what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and he was also going to add in some of the like why that's written into the New Bedford Code because that
Mhm.
helps with litigation too. So
Yeah, no.
Doug, are you like advocating for a hard stop provision, meaning ultimately the town board should have the ability
Final say.
to just say no demolition permit, like no 90 days, no 30 days.
Well, no, I think what I see is it would go through a process. So, for example, suppose you had a building of historic value to the town of Muskegon, wanted to have a demolition. The planning department would note that the house is over 40, 50 years. So then Laura's department would refer to the historic board, and they would look at the building and they would study it. And, you know, they could drive out to the site and say, there's no problem, and issue a statement, and the permit can be issued. It can be demolished. Or they can come back and they can trigger and say, hey, we need 30 days, we need 60 days. But then after that time, if they don't take action, then the permit gets issued. So there's not a no action scenario. But if they take the action and say it can't be demolished, then the homeowner could either say, okay, I'm going to abide by that, or could go to challenge it. And then if they chose to challenge it, then it would rest with the town board. And you could have it's worked a couple different ways. You could have public hearings on it and stuff like that. I don't know where we want to necessarily go with that. But then even if the town board said no, I guess the homeowner could sue the town under Article 78.
Mhm.
And
Say
it would go to the court.
Yeah.
So you're not really taking away
All right.
a right. You're basically just putting
Delaying it
potential
and
breaks.
making sure that whatever has, yeah.
Okay.
See, my concern is if you put the demolition and just have a waiting period, and suppose I want to put in a development, I'm concerned about a historic site that could create problems. I could wait, I could get a demolition permit, wait the 60 days, level the site, and then I could do my development. And the town would lose a potential asset. Yeah, so that would be
I have a question. Like, I just want to make sure that I understood
Yeah.
the process of decision making when somebody requested to demolish a historic, building. So first it goes through us, CAC, and
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No,
Yeah.
it very likely wouldn't. We would.
Yeah.
So
It would
like,
only go to the historical committee.
Oh,
Yeah.
straight to the
Yeah.
So I gave you an example
yeah.
of a situation we faced earlier. And the only reason why it came to our committee was because the property was getting subdivided. So that triggered an action that we had to consider. But a demolition permit is not considered an action that we can make a judgment on.
Oh, I see.
It's just a
Yeah, it's not
administrative
really-
process.
So it goes through the historic committee.
So
first,
what
and
we're
then-
trying to do is set up the historic committee to actually review.
Yeah.
Then after that, who's gonna, is it a town board or planning board? Who's gonna?
Well, I think a
After.
determination would be made on the structure, whether it was worth even reviewing, or it needed review and documentation, or it needed to be protected.
Mhm.
If it needed to be protected, then the owner of the building could petition the town board to get that overturned.
Okay.
So that actually brings it up. And then if the
I see.
town board said, no, we agree with the historic board,
Mm.
then the homeowner or the owner of the building could say, okay, that's it. But there's always still an option that they could sue the town on an Article 78, which gives a resident the means to sue the town for an action that the town has taken. And then that would go to court.
I see.
So in the most recent case where the town looked at a site that was historic, we made a determination of a positive deck, and then the landowner actually took the town and sued the town under Article 78 and won, and was able to develop the property. So,
Lesson learned.
so it's not like you're really taking away
The process, you're
the
just,
you're making the process more thorough,
Mhm.
and you are putting breaks along the way that it is possible to protect
Right.
historic assets.
Yeah.
And there are some areas in the town that have some very old buildings and some very important buildings to be developed.
Mhm.
So Laura, what's next on this?
So I would say I'll just take those thoughts, and Clark and I will bring them to the next planning board discussion.
Yep.
When the code is ready, I think we will bring it back to you for an EAF. but like we're sort of ping ponging it back and forth right
Yeah,
now.
that's fine.
Okay.
Hey, Laura, I just had a thought. If you have this type of code in place and a house is sold, does that ever trigger an evaluation relative to the historic nature of that house? So the potential buyer would know they're buying a house that has this historic nature to it that may limit what they're able to do with the house?
Well, that was the discussion we had at the planning board with Leslie, because Leslie wanted a deed restriction so that homeowners would purchase a home and should be disclosed to them that it was historical and could have the ability to not be allowed to be demolished. But Paul Briggs had a really compelling reason on why they couldn't do deed restrictions and didn't want to put that into the code. So I think the discussion was, it's not great, but property owners really need to do their due diligence. There's all kinds of times where they buy homes with wetlands, and sometimes those have deed restrictions and some other things. And so, yeah, Paul really was not interested in putting some kind of a legal deed restriction on the property. He did not want to do that. Our lawyer did not want to do that.
And actually, in what I've seen, that's actually not always an option. In other words, like this board in some towns will go out and identify a property and it will get put on a list, and they notify the homeowner. It's not where I think if you go to do a deed restriction, then that opens up a negotiation between you and the homeowner. And that's not always the case. I mean, it depends on how we want to do it in this town. I don't think we're being anywhere near as strict as maybe some of the,
Like Stockade or something.
like Bedford or Rye or any of the other towns. I mean, I think all we're trying to do is just make sure that we can.
So it would be in the code, just like the number of accessory structures you could have or anything like that, and the homeowner would have to review the code.
I think Dennis, though, in his committee is talking about making a list of homes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think it would be safe to say that if you were on that list, you might consider it.
Well, this is what Paul Briggs was talking about. Like when you sell a home, you're supposed to fill out a questionnaire, disclosing everything to your potential buyer, where you would say, like, one of the questions is this home historical? And you're like required by law to answer that truthfully. So you should say yes. But he said you're not actually required by law to fill out that form. But if you do fill it out, you're required by law to do it honestly. But he said that if he's doing a legal transaction and a homeowner refuses to fill out that form, that's like a red flag for him, because then he's telling the buyer that there's something there, so they're going to do much more due diligence. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a form that people are supposed to fill out when they're purchasing a property that discloses all those kinds of things.
I mean, I would imagine, to be honest with you, I think at least owners of Paul Schaefer houses that I've talked to would love to be on a list like this.
Yeah.
And, I would view it as a very positive thing as opposed to a negative thing. And I would imagine there's other people as well.
Yeah, they want to implement a program with like recognition plaques that you could put on your home that says this home is designated historical by the town of Niskayuna. And that was another thing they had said at that meeting was, hopefully, like if all goes well, these homes would have plaques on them, and the plaque would also be a disclosure to a future buyer. Oh, there's a historic plaque on the side of the house.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And again, we're not talking about stopping anybody from putting any modifications or additions on the house.
Yeah, I mean the Schaefer kitchens are really tight, and I think a lot of them have been remodeled to be a little bit more functional, but they try and keep them true as much as they possibly can, but still enjoy living in them. So, okay, that's good.
Okay, moving on to the reports. Shuk, do you want to fill us in on the natural resource inventory?
Sure. So for the benefit of our new members, so the CAC is doing a project on inventorying the town's natural resources, like open spaces mainly, but some historical spaces are also included. It's kind of a big long-term project. Like even though the town of Niskayuna is approaching what is called the full build, which means like everything that can be built upon is actually built upon. There's still some open space left, and some of the open space is like controlled by the town, and there are other open spaces and such. So before we decide how to move forward with future development, we need to identify existing open spaces and kind of have a framework for what to do with it, what do we prioritize, and so on. Such is the intent, and we started this project in April. And I've been March, I think, yeah. And I've been leading the project. Separate from this group, there is a Natural Resources Inventory NRI working group that meets in the last Wednesday of every month, and we need to hire consultants to do at least part of the job. So we have identified a consultant, and we are currently in the phase of getting some seed monies to pay the consultant to do some preliminary work, and then we go to the government, the state agency in charge of us, and then we'll ask for a much bigger amount. That state agency is something called the Mohawk River Watershed Corporation. So you have seen the email that is from the Niskayuna Community Grants Foundation program. So apparently they had a bunch of vacations and they couldn't get together, and they
Fine, it wasn't a no.
they haven't actually reviewed it. So the $2,000 seed money grant we wrote to an agency called the Niskayuna Community Grant Foundation. So we submitted it in, I don't know, several months ago, but they're still reviewing it. So hopefully it will be a positive, and it is my sincere hope that we can actually start the project in the fall, before the weather really gets super cold.
So Ashok, what exactly the consultant do?
The consultant is an expert in open spaces. Like he actually had a free visit to our town. Like he's done previous natural resource inventories. So we had like a walkthrough with him on some natural spaces near Blackwood Hill, and some mud flats near Laura's house, which we couldn't find.
And then got kicked out of.
And then we got kicked out of there. So basically, he walked us through and said, "Oh yeah, this is a very good habitat for a bird, for a grassland bird called the bobolink, and another bird called the meadowlark, and these are the native species that grow there. This is how this space interacts with the environment. This is how this space helps humans, like that. Like he's like kind of an expert in ecology, if you will.
Okay, so to preserve natural environment in those open areas, that's their purpose.
Well, you're not going to be able to preserve everything, but first you need to inventory what is there.
What's there and how to
Yeah. Okay. So we are always looking for volunteers. The time commitment is flexible, so I can talk to you afterward about potentially getting involved. So. And Laura, you mentioned that like there is potentially some funding.
Yeah, some other funding that we could grab.
With NYSERDA.
Yeah, we're gonna ask about that.
Yeah. So I was actually, I'd like people's input on this. Like I was actually going to reach out to when the funding guy, when the community program, when they respond to the email, like I thought like I would send them one more email and say, hey, you guys are the funding agency, you have all the power in the world, but we are really hoping to start by the fall. No, don't do that.
No.
Okay.
Let it be.
But I also don't want to.
They have dates. They have a timeline that so they have rolling admissions for their things, and then they have solid deadlines for like their larger grants.
Mhm.
And when you submit for their rolling admission, they never used to do that. They had specific dates,
Mhm.
and they were in the spring and I think in the fall. I can't remember. So you're at their mercy for when you do the rolling one. So that's the problem that comes along with it. But I mean, you're asking for something for all of the townspeople, for all of Niskayuna. I mean, there's not a bigger group of people that you could possibly be sourcing.
Okay.
So,
And it probably fits in with the mission.
And it totally fits in with the mission. So I would, yeah. So I'm just going to go on the record saying I would highly doubt that they would turn you down.
Okay.
Only because of, what they're looking to do is to finance these sorts of things that will help the community, especially, in the long term. Like, do you get their newsletter from them? So, and the other thing that is also helpful is when you donate. So if you donate to them, they have like a thing, but you'll get a newsletter and it'll tell you all the programs that they donate to.
Okay.
So, and they put that out spring, but yes, it is a.
Well, he said they'll consider it in the next few weeks. That's a direct.
Oh,
quote.
okay. Well, that's yeah.
So, but at least let me say here among friends that like I want to get going. Every time we have an NRI meeting, we are still in the stasis mode, waiting for the decision with the funding agency. And I have told everybody that if the $2,000 doesn't come through, I'm just going to pay the $2,000 to the town to get it started from my own pocket.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to do that.
The town board has to accept it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because I want to do that for something else. I was like, I'll just write a check. My God, let's get going.
Sorry, guys, you are super patient, but all of the stuff is really, really good.
And it takes. One thing
even
you
the
learn
town
is
board
these things
accepting your
take
money
time,
takes
and
like
it just
2
goes
months.
slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
And they're all volunteers too, I think, by and large.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
you know,
Well, they have an
just-
office staff, but yes.
I mean, but the board.
Yeah.
is
Oh,
all
yeah.
volunteers,
And you can also, if you go on their website, you can see who they are.
Yeah, I did. Tina is there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
There.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
was my-
Okay.
Well, I want one more quick item of discussion, please. Like, I am not going to be on town on the last Wednesday, of this month. So can we meet on the 3rd? And Laura, like, if you can, I know you are already like overstretched, lots of commitments, but or we can keep the last Wednesday, and somebody else can lead the meeting.
Yeah. And I think I already told you I can't do the last weekend, the last Wednesday in August.
But can you do the 3rd Wednesday?
I think so. Yeah, I thought you and I looked at that, and we could do the 3rd Wednesday.
Okay, so that's Wednesday, August the 18th.
Yeah. I think we even put it on the calendar.
Yeah, I actually don't think I could do the last two.
Yeah, it's the week between camp ending and school starting, and we're gonna go to Maine. Like,
That's an important point. So so just for this month, it'll be 6 p.m. on Wednesday, August 18th.
Okay.
Okay. How did the farmer's market go?
The farmers market, well, this is going to kind of, before we do that, like one quick thing, Laura, can you get us the gazebo on that day for an outside meeting and like some space inside? In
If it
case
rains,
of rain?
Yep.
Now, the farmers market, so this is going to go into pesticide territory. So I'll hand it over to Ellen when the
Absolutely
time
not.
comes.
No, I'm very excited.
The farmers market went great, and
For you.
the star of the show is like Raina, Smayan, and Anjana who were there, and I just sent them out. Just like if I go and talk to people, I'm a 47-year-old guy, and but people love hearing from young people. Like you should totally go. And we gave them little clipboards on why pesticides are dreadful to the environment,
Okay.
and a little flyer about the NRI project,
Okay.
and something about the pesticide-free pledge. We got a number of people to take the pledge, 8 of them total. We get collected $40.
Yay!
A couple of things to note. One, there is some confusion with the term pesticide. Pesticide is an umbrella term that includes insecticide and herbicide. And 2 people come to me and say, "I'm ready to take the pledge. I want to use glyphosate."
Oh
my gosh.
Like, whoa, hold it right there.
So, yeah, that's the worst one.
So that
Okay.
myth need to be dispelled. Like herbicides are pretty nasty to the environment, and they're also
Okay.
pretty carcinogen. You don't have to have like actual insecticide to
I'm
be.
wondering,
Go ahead.
given that if maybe on our website, we can put a list of like things you shouldn't use and things that you could use, because there are
Good
stuff,
idea.
Okay.
there is stuff that you can use like for aphids and stuff, it's oils and stuff. that are not,
Yeah.
but,
Okay.
And it
yeah, I
doesn't
didn't even
include-
consider that, but that's a very valid
Yeah.
point.
So 2 separate people told me.
That they use, so it
I
was,
just use Roundup, nothing else. Like, no, you're not taking the
That's the
pesticide.
worst one.
there's a reason. Okay, yeah, there's a reason why I won the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyways, okay, yeah.
And one more thing, people, and this is true in my own yard too, people are concerned about the floppiness of the sign.
Okay, but you can put it all the way in, and so I've had mine in my yard since we made them.
Yeah,
And if you put them all the way in, they
Mhm.
stand straight up.
yeah.
And the other thing too is that when you go to mow, if you pull it up and then put it back in, it reguns. I definitely, so, yes, but I don't know what to tell them other than,
It's really important to not put pesticides, and if you like the sign enough, you can figure out how to make it work for your yard.
yeah.
Um,
And you can, and if you decide not to put it in your grass and that like you put it like in your mulch,
uh-huh.
you can, you can like,
Oh,
so
that's a
you
good
can
idea,
build it, you
too.
can build up a little thing to it,
We put
so.
a stick behind it to
That's
prop
what
it up.
Linda
You can put a
did.
stick behind it, but I didn't have to put a stick behind it, like mine, and so mine is at the end of my driveway next to my bowl for the dogs, because I have a dog dish that I
Mhm.
fill every morning for the dogs in the neighborhood, so mine is right next to that, so if people stop with their dogs, they
Cool.
see
Oh,
it,
that's
so,
pretty nice.
That's very cool.
anyways,
Oh, so that's my my farmers market thing. Thank you, Laura, for the table and
Yeah.
the chair, and your office person Jean was
Jean.
very nice to open the thing in the morning. And Rosemary and her husband were there, and they helped me with the tent. Daryl Bray of the Tree Council gave me the tent. I have a PhD in mechanical engineering, and I could not figure out how the tent works.
you have not catered enough.
Okay, what is this? I don't know.
What
There's
is it?
pulleys and levers here. I don't know what to do.
Is it just a 10?
I don't know. I haven't actually seen the tent. They are sometimes tricky, though.
It's very tricky, but I got a lot of help. So that's where I will.
Well, thank you very much. So can I, so I have just a couple of questions. Did we, so that last, the questionnaire, like that we were gonna ask people, where did that end up?
Oh, yeah, we had it, and it was
I have
printed
an
out.
updated
Yeah.
question.
Okay,
I have a-
because the name of the company that will do that we asked them about, composting
Mhm.
is, like Scraps 360.
Oh,
Okay.
that's who's doing this today.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the only one that will come and collect in Niskiuna. So that's why, I was just curious, because that is sort of like.
I'll send you the
So how
Word
do
document.
they come house to house, or do they?
Yeah, they'll come to your house. They'll come to your house. It's a weekly or monthly, yeah, it's a weekly thing. But you have to pay.
Mhm.
and then you can get compost back. So I guess my question was if people were receptive, one, do they know that it exists? And two, are they, would they be receptive to it? Or three, are they ready to start composting? Or
That, unfortunately, we only had one person fill out the.
okay,
fill out the
no, that's
survey,
okay.
but
I mean,
that's-
we're, pesticide free is definitely like where we would like to go. I mean, I can see people that when they go by, my house, they're like, my lawn looks pretty good for being pesticide free,
Yeah.
so. But, yeah,
And the one gentleman who did fill out the form is in my backpack, and I'll
Okay,
give it, I'll give it to you.
okay, all right.
And then I have copies of the updated questionnaire as well.
Oh, okay, great,
And
great.
when are you doing your table?
So
Where is it at?
I sent out I thought I sent you the dates, Laura, before I
You
left.
did send me the dates.
But hold on one second, I have them in my phone. And I have my own tent. So, whoopsie, it's in my notes, sorry. Pesticide-free farmers market. Okay, so 8/21, 9/4, and 10/9, and you have 9/25.
Yeah.
So 8/21
Okay.
is when I'll be doing it.
Okay.
So anybody who would like to, join me or,
Well, you should get the high school students.
Okay.
They work the magic. Raina, you want to tell anything about that?
Yeah, no, it was last at the farmers market on Saturday. We did a lot of good outreach, and I was really happy to hear a lot of people say that they're already not using pesticides, and like those people that do use pesticides were pretty open to ideas for like alternatives and stuff.
okay.
So at the next farmers market, will we still be doing pesticide-free outreach?
So
Yeah,
yeah, I
maybe
think we're
the
gonna
next
do a-
one, we should have the list of things for them to use. So if they say they're interested in taking the pledge, we can have a list of things they shouldn't use and ideas for them.
Okay.
Yeah, when they were asking me, like I said, like you can use oils and things, but I didn't have any specific alternatives, so that would definitely be helpful. Yeah.
There's actually a fair amount of things, because we used to have a community garden in Troy, which was completely organic, and, they had a list of things that you could,
Okay,
use.
all right. So I need to come up with a list.
Oh, one question that came up, Ellen, what about a one-time treatment for ticks every year? Does that qualify for the pesticide?
How do you treat your yard for ticks? Probably. You would probably qualify, right? It's an insecticide.
You could get chickens.
Yeah, only get chickens.
Well, I guess we'll have to put that to the vote, people. Like, how do we?
Yeah, I'll have to figure that out.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I guess the question is, what are we trying to accomplish, the objective? And we should have another conversation, but just think about,
yeah,
are we trying to get people to have sustainable lawns
yes,
only? Or do we want to get everything out of the stream, right? And, I think that's just how far we would like it to be, but we should think about it, right? Because I think it's hard to make that judgment without really having a good discussion on that.
okay. So, yeah, so think about that, and everybody, and we need to see where we stand, like.
I have a friend at the college who is like a local tick expert, and I remember her telling me once that the odds of getting ticks from your backyard, unless it's like really nasty overgrown, not all that high in our area.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get into a debate on whether or not their dogs or people get their ticks from their backyards based on, where they live or what, so I think I would just, I think the best thing, for your dog, I mean, even if you have your yard treated for ticks, you're still checking your dog and you're still checking yourself, because if you're not, it's not 100%. You only can treat the barrier, it's just like mosquitoes and stuff like that. So, I'm leaning more towards, let's mitigate ticks, but I'll think of, I'll look at it. I'll look at the research. And I'm by no means an expert. I just, have a dog and, have ticks.
I just like if you're certified organic, like if you're selling certified organic cereal or something, and then you're like, oh, but once a year I treat my orchard with X. You're not certified organic.
No, and
Yeah.
that's
I
the
don't
type of
think you can
discussion
say you're
we have.
pesticide free if you treat for ticks. I mean,
Yeah.
that's your choice,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you're not pesticide free.
Yeah, I think if you.
just
Yeah,
put
You
like-
pesticided
I mean,
once
if
a
you
year.
look, if you look at really the way to stop Lyme disease, it's really, you have to do tick checks
Yes.
routinely. I mean,
You have to wear,
we've pulled multiple ticks off ourselves and our dog just in our
Yes.
backyard and hiking around
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But
socks and pants, your socks
mean,
over your pants,
I think it's manageable if you are, judicious about it and just continually do it.
Well, that's what our family does.
so.
Yeah, that's-
All right,
We've
well-
always done that too. Okay.
So I will, and I noticed you said something about so what ended up happening with the signage? Did we get a banner? How big was that banner that you guys could print out? Was it?
No, I forgot, and Linda printed out one, but Ashok thinks it needs to be bigger.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we can do a bigger one.
yeah, we need a bigger banner and something more sturdy kind of material.
Okay,
The historic commission was next to us,
and they were outdoing us?
by a lot.
We got shown up by the historic committee, okay.
What? What's up with that? They didn't have any high schoolers.
I had my high school students.
Yes.
So actually, I think in terms of outreach and number of people talked to,
Yeah,
like we vastly outdid them because they only talked to people
who came to them?
who came to the tent. Like, but the three students, they fanned out and like, oh, there's a family with a kid. I'm gonna go talk to them. There's a family with a dog. I'm gonna go talk to them.
Yeah,
You know.
okay.
Good job, Raina.
Yeah, good.
So, okay, so let's see if we can't get our eyes on that information and I'll get working on that to try to fix some of those things. And then I'll just send out when we're gonna be, I'll just send out a notice and then maybe we could email blast it. And then anybody who wants to, come again on the 21st, I'll take any of the help that you want to give and be very appreciative of it. So, yeah.
Excellent. Do you have anything else you want to add? Pesticides?
I don't think so. I will take, we did the little display out there. I think he's gonna put it on, I haven't been on Facebook. I don't know if I know that they made
Oh, he did do a couple posts, Nick.
yeah.
He put the picture up on Twitter
Okay.
or whatever he did.
Okay, so, that is appreciative, and I probably need to now, try to go, neighborhood to neighborhood or something like that, and just try to do, something a little bit more, so,
I'll come with you.
Yeah. Make sure you have your badges because the tree council has been doing some
we
neighborhood.
don't have badges.
Oh, you guys still don't have badges?
I have that.
You have a badge.
Yeah, I have a badge.
Did I get a badge?
I think you and a badge.
You got me a badge?
I don't know.
I don't think I have it.
There were badges at one time, and I thought we got them a couple years ago, but
Okay, so you need a badge and you need a badge.
Can you just check? I don't think I was issued a badge. I remember talk of badges, and then
So what I need from you guys is for you to each email me a picture that you would like on your badge.
I did that.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, can you do it again?
Love to.
Okay. Did you do it recently?
Like last year, when Tina was here, I did.
Yeah, Tina got a badge. So how did
Yeah,
you
I-
get a badge on?
maybe there's a badge sitting up in
I
the.
missed
All
your
right,
email.
I will go
Will you
look.
re-email it to me?
I will go look at my house, but I
Just
don't.
email it to me. It
I don't-
takes us 2 seconds to make badges. I just
If
need
you had the
pictures.
badge, you would know you had
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think I got one.
it. You might,
And tell me
maybe,
before you go out. And just
Yeah. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I'm also open to any ideas of how to, outreach. I was going to try, my next door neighbor, runs a, Cub Scout group.
Mhm.
And so I thought I might start with them.
Mhm.
And, you know, because I think they're mostly I think they're all, it's a Niskuna group.
Yep.
And then, you know, I was gonna, you know, I should probably try the Girl Scouts too.
I have a Girl Scout too.
Okay. All right.
How convenient.
So I'll, yeah, so.
So I know that we have done a public, like, kind of talk in the past, and
Oh, yeah.
and I
Did
recently.
you guys know that, sorry, if you go to Clifton Park's website, they have a link on their homepage that says interested in like lawn care, like for the residents, like information about lawn care. And it links to our video of David Chinnery coming to the town
Really?
of Niskuna on the homepage of the town of Clifton Park. And if you look at our YouTube channel, that video has more views than anything else we have
That was a great talk.
by and large. It's got like 600 views, and anything else even close is like 150.
Can we bring it back?
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is we could like up that video again, or we could put a link directly to that
At
video
the
on our
very least, we should
website or
up the
something.
video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, now that we're matched again, and like, I don't know, like, but I would, you know, by and large, I mean, his whole thing was, you know, you have to oversee. So,
And
you know,
now's the time to do it, because he said August and September.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Late
I
August,
will,
September,
let's
so,
see if we can't get that back up as a link and somehow pizzazz it up or something like that. So
People like it a lot. It's pretty fun to watch.
it's good. I mean, he did a really nice job, but
Yeah.
overseeding is the key. Overseeding is the key to your lawn's health. And yeah, so anyways, but I mean, I'm no lawn expert, so.
Speaking about lawns, Lomo, do we have any updates on that?
I talked about that. I was just gonna find you guys
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
page. It doesn't matter. I'll send it to you. I just thought that was so funny. But I talked about the Lomo this morning in Highway Committee.
Mhm.
Because really, and I saw your email. It was kind of like we were synergizing because I basically was gonna give up on the signs and asked Ray if he would get them for me. And then you emailed Greg. But like one way or the other, like he's fine with everything. I just said the only thing that's holding us up is the signs. And he said that, well, we can just go out there with like plastic stakes for now and stake out where not to mow.
Mhm.
And then we'll get the signs. And so we just need to pick a day to go out there with his crew and stake out our final map. But then I also said the Kells Farm's getting ready to develop. And so like we may maybe like just take an hour every couple Saturdays and start moving like loop-ins and things from there over to the Lomo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm available this Saturday.
Yeah, true. Maybe we'll do a little this Saturday.
Okay. If you tell me when, I will be there.
Okay.
And what I need to bring and how many people I need to bring with me.
I am not available this Saturday.
I'm just, I mean, like, we definitely then should make sure we get the plastic markers up.
Yeah, you don't want to collect the flowers.
So, all right, so I am not here tomorrow, but I am here I have some time on Friday, so I can.
Well, maybe even Saturday, I could ask Ray for the plastic markers and we could put them up on Saturday and then start moving some plans.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And Laura, like, regarding Roy Thornton's stuff about the bobolink and the upward face of the Blackneck Hill.
Yeah.
I still think it'll be nice to have like a firm plan on what gets moved and what doesn't get done.
I said this to you, I almost don't want to bring them in there if they're not mowing something that's helpful to the bobolink.
So, yeah.
Like, I just like, if it's good the way it is right now,
Yeah.
then I would rather focus on getting our Lomo thing into place.
Fair.
Yeah, the whole top of the hill, they haven't been mown all summer.
Which is
That's
great.
actually
So,
good.
like, let's not bring it to their attention.
But is it going to be that next year?
Well, no, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
We need to protect it.
Yeah.
But
The
like,
other
I
thing
don't know why
that-
they're not mowing it this year. Like,
Well,
I don't know.
Rosemary sent when she was still here, she sent an email to Highway. Then Roy Thornton emailed the entire town board. So that was the catalyst for
them not mowing where they're not mowing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, I still have that beautiful sign
The
for
Bobolink
for the
sign.
Bobolink.
Mhm.
I can go, I mean, I talked to Greg and I sent him
Oh, the
that,
grass one. Yeah.
the grass one for the Lomo, and the B1 thing that you had, that B1 that you had.
Yeah, I love that P1. It's so cute. You
And-
sent that one.
And
Yeah,
then,
for a Union College project, we ordered extra signs. We have 2 extra sitting in my office of the B1. Do you want it?
I'm not sure. I'm like, let's see what we can get.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can have it for free. There's no.
I know,
charge.
but the town can't take stuff for free.
It's just not an old sign, just an extra
It can't be
sign.
worth more than $50.
It's not worth more than $50.
Really?
Yeah.
Then you could.
It's like $35.
well, I'm not gonna get into the nitty gritty of that, but what I will say is that I can reach out to Greg and make sure they got my email on Friday, and I can ask him what he thinks, and I can, I mean, I sent the one about the Bobolink a long time ago with the really pretty picture of the Bobolink with the information on it, so I can look back through my emails and find that one.
Yeah.
If you want me to,
Yeah.
but I thought we were gonna concentrate on the B one and the thing about, I sent it a long time ago. I can resend it to.
I remember when you sent that out.
Yeah, no, I liked all of them. So maybe we can take the Bobolink one when we're printing out these signs with Ray and be like, hey, can we put this around the cap that you're no longer mowing?
Okay, and I will then speak to Greg over at and ask him about a Bobolink sign, or so one sign for Bobolink, 2 signs. I
Let's see
didn't.
how much they are. Just have them quote it. You know.
Okay, well, he's gonna say it matters how many you're getting. But
Well, it's not going to be any more than 5.
Okay, yeah.
Just
So
some
you
five
guys
or
are
less.
going to do the Lupin moving this Saturday?
I think it'll just be whenever anybody can get over there constantly because there's so many flowers over there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not a lupin, there's like,
There's all kinds of things.
Yeah,
There's
there's a whole bunch of
irises.
stuff,
There's
yeah.
all kinds of things.
If you go with me and tell me what to do, I'm an excellent worker,
Yeah, me too.
but I'm not, so, yeah, but
Yeah, well, this is like the one Saturday I can't do it.
Well, yeah, we can do it more Saturdays. The more we
I can
move
do it
over,
the
better.
following Saturday.
Yeah.
I think, except, wait a minute, does that make, that's the 21st maybe?
Yeah.
That's the 21st.
No, that's 2
No,
more
no,
Saturdays.
there's 2 there's the,
I'm sorry, let me just look, I'm looking. So this Saturday is the 7th, the 14th. So the 7th and the 14th,
The most flowers.
we can move flowers.
Yeah, 14th I could potentially do it, not the 6th.
Okay. So, yeah,
We can ask the tree council too. Like, there's lots of people and on other committees that might want to help us.
when is Niska Day?
I don't know.
I think it's the 14th, I don't know.
Is it the 14th?
We'll be driving up and down River Road with flowers sticking out of our cars. I don't work. Oh, but we want to maybe do some outreach.
we probably
Yeah.
want to have it.
I'm not sure they're letting us do outreach. So I think we're pretty good. We can communicate these details more on email.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Niska Day is the 21st.
I see that, I just looked it up, yep, August 21st, okay. Okay. Okie dokie.
But they're like not letting people set up like tents the way that they usually do
Okay,
on this day.
okay.
Okay,
We make a motion to, that's
we
you.
can, well, you can make the motion.
Well, no,
Yeah, that's where we are.
We're done,
We're
we're there.
done.
So if somebody wants to make a
I
motion,
make a motion for us to adjourn. All in favor?
all in favor?
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
bye.
So I will try to round up some help too. To dig up some flowers. I have a niece in town and my
Yeah,
mom.
and I know I owe you something, I thought about it on the way up driving.
Alrighty.
So
I'll just have to clear it with Joel.
Okay, yeah,
This is the fundraiser for the walk.
Tell me what I, tell me if there's anything else I need to do, okay?
Hey, Laura, are we on?
Oh, yeah, we sure are. Hold on. Oops.